Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk Trackmania. We are back as episode number 33. It is 33 we are at today, and I am joined as part of our little three-man group once again, the dynamic trio. I am your host, TM Scotsman, as always, and the two who are blessing me once again, week after week, wave after wave. It is Mr. Shorty and it is LuckersTurbo who are blessing me with their radiant presence here. The sun's not the only thing shining out here. I've got two beautiful people lighting up my screen over here as well. Luckily, we're bringing all of our visages to all of you today. But we have had a little bit of a week off yesterday. Unfortunately, one of our esteemed party was not feeling too well last week. So we do apologise for not being here, but we are back and we are ready to get underway once again. Just a quick reminder before we get started. Once again, of course, this podcast, as always, is brought to you by esac.gg, and keep an eye on the website upcoming for some events which are happening already, some hourly showdowns, and also some things that will be coming up in future. But the first question, as always, and I'm going to say it straight to LuckersTurbo because I noticed he's got a big fucking designer shoe there. How are you doing, Mr. LuckersTurbo?
Well, after I went to the doctor on Wednesday in the morning, he found out that my ankle joint was damaged, and at least I have one torn ligament. So, yeah, 6 weeks no sports. My schedule right now is also a bit fucked up, so it's dragging me down a bit. But I take things a bit slower right now because also weather is a bit sloppy. But yeah, I cannot complain. It's good, I'm doing good. It's the only issue that I have. Studying is going great, and I'm joined by great people right now, so I cannot complain. Let's say it like this.
Oh, Shorty, how are you doing?
Yeah, I had a rough start to the week on Monday. A lot of things didn't work out as I hoped they would, but overall I'm doing fine. My microphone is a little bit broke because it just came off. It's normally glued to the side, but yeah, apparently that's not anymore.
So you're just going to sit here the whole time, just like, just like this, with your microphone.
Just like this. Hello.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm used to it.
It works for now. Until
It works
falls
for
off,
now.
and we just hear an avalanche happening in Shorty's room.
No, I think it's fine. At least quality-wise, it doesn't really make a big difference.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I just have to wait until I'm home again so I can re-glue it because I got stickers for that. But not here. I got them, but I don't have them here.
Come
It's
on,
so stupid.
need to be prepared. But yeah, at the very least, it's not completely beyond repair. I suppose the internet's working at the very least, which is one good thing. And both your beds are actually made, so I didn't even have to say anything.
It did actually disconnect right within a couple of the day today, and I was actually good on that map. But what can you do, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's actually the internet is really working fine. We're getting more download than we are paying for, actually, which is a big surprise in Germany. That's very rare in Germany.
Hacker man coming in right there. But yeah, good to hear both of you guys are doing well. It might look fantastic out here, but it's not actually that hot.
It's you. That's fantastic.
It's just me, I'm bringing everything to the table as always. But here today, guys, of course, a lot of things have happened over the last 2 weeks. Some really big things have happened as well. Last time we were here, we were talking a little bit about ZRT and a few of the incidents that had been happening over the previous weeks. But of course, the ZRT competition had been formally announced. We got a little bit more information about the format and such, and we also have now found out some of the trios who will be playing as part of the tournament and have managed to lay our eyes upon the first maps, which have been built by Zerator himself for that cup. So we will be getting into that as well. And also another major update which has came to the game only within the last week and a half, if I'm correct, is the new update, which has released a great number of new blocks, new surfaces, and also a new mode in the game known as the Royale mode, which is free to all players no matter what edition you do have. Taking a bit of an interesting format where there's essentially 5 stages that you need to complete as part of a 3-man team, and those that complete it slowest do get eliminated until you reach the final team, which manages to, outlast the competition on a map which I believe a new map is added every day. A very interesting mode in a new direction. However, a few different things which have been added to the game as part of that update. Some action buttons, as mentioned by Parhelion there, which we will of course get to, and also the new surface of plastic, I believe it's called, and new colorations coming in for all the blocks of which are part of Trackmania. And also water has been reintroduced to the game. We have water, ladies and gentlemen, we finally will be able to survive. And also some very minor physics changes and this or that. But I think it's only fair, since we finished off with ZRT last time, to give that a little bit of the first time treatment. So guys, the ZRT tournament, as we'd spoken a little bit about, we didn't know any of the trios. We'd, theory crafted here and there, but some of the ones that have came out are quite interesting. But Turbo, I know you were always the one out of the three that was most interested in the kind of ZRT scape in terms of the events, both online and offline. How are you feeling about the tournament now that you're seeing some of the trios coming out, and now that you're seeing some of the maps that are being displayed?
So firstly, I really like all the effort that they've putting in with all the videos, whether it's in in French or in English, with those announcement thingies. And it's great to just see that players are finding themselves and are making something. I think we have some really, really good duos or trios rather coming up with the favorite, at least in my opinion, is Aurel, Papu, and Gwen. That is the strongest duo, but also the English duo with Massa, Peck, and also Spam look very strong. I mean, I cannot judge it because also with the announcement of the format, it looks really rough. I mean, have you guys seen it, how it looks? I think only the top 250 teams will go through, give or take, I think 243. And then it's going step by step. And I think they're only 5 steps at the first day, which is good. But yeah, considering the amount of players who are playing, it will all come down to 1 or 2 rounds again, where you really have to be focused. And I think it's a great one. I mean, I also have announced my team already with Amaterasu and Janik. I'm playing again with them. And yeah, I mean, I haven't practiced too much, but the maps are great. I like them. They're good. They're Zerator style, but definitely not easy. I mean, have you guys seen anything from that? Any maps or any duos, trios being announced, or 2 people looking for one, or 1 people looking for other 2 players? I mean, there are a lot of things going on right now on Twitter and also on Twitch.
Yeah, a lot of lonely people out there looking for love, it looks like. I mean, I've seen a lot of Twitter posts out there about, I've seen Mudda, I believe, is linked up with Legu, and I forgot the last one there. I've seen, I believe it's Soldier, Shark, and Miquatro, if I am correct. Yep. Also, Carl Jr., Bren, and Kenny Stream, I believe his name is. I've seen a few other ones that have been coming out here. I saw there's another one where Yannick is going with some people. There's the BS competition, the new sponsor that came into the game. They're having their own lineup coming into it. So there's quite a few interesting lineups going into this for sure. And one of the things about the Zerator Cup is for each year, there's always seems to be a wave of new players that are competitive level. Last year you had players that were really challenging for the top spots, which hadn't quite been to the forefront in the years before. And I believe this year will be the same. You'll see some people challenging for some high up spots here, as the likes of Darker was coming in through the last year or so. And his previous efforts in the tournament, of course, and done very well. I've yet to see his lineup coming out, but yeah, the maps coming out being very interesting as well. Not as yet being the really tricky side of the Zerator potential, shall we say, that we've seen in times gone past. I mean, we've seen some real spanners thrown into gears in previous map packs he's brought out, but definitely a wide variance, as always, as his style is never really very clearly defined. It's just, whatever he feels like building kind of thing, and it's definitely some very interesting maps there. But Shari, what's your impressions now that we're about a week, 2 weeks into the tournament, actually, starting to heat up?
Yeah, I also noticed a lot of those 3-man squads getting announced, and not really a lot of surprises, maybe, considering, of course, those people know each other well, and Spam, Massa, and Pack being a team doesn't really surprise anyone, I would suppose, but it's definitely good. It's pretty much as expected, right? It's a really tough competition, and the maps are Zerator style, obviously, right? They are definitely what you would expect from him. The new blocks definitely make it really colorful, even his maps. Yeah, I'm not following ZRT that much. I followed the maps. I took a look on the maps, and yeah, they're, what can you say, right? It's Zerator. It's exactly as you would expect, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say? Do you think the maps are bad or good?
No, I don't think it's his style. I can't really say anything about the map style I don't like anyway. It's I can't say the maps are good or bad because I don't like them. It's difficult. I wouldn't dare to say this. It's like this. It's the same for Zerator and for full speed maps. I'm really bad at full speed. I would never say this full speed map is good or this one is bad. I just don't feel like I'm in the position to even judge this style because it's not my style at all. That's what I think. I mean, I can't say anything about the maps. I can just only say it's definitely his style, right?
Mm-hmm. That's fair, and I do think at the very least, having not played the maps myself, I've watched a little bit of people training on it. I would say the one thing is the maps are at least looking interesting. There's some interesting usage of the new blocks. They're nice and colourful. They're attractive to the eye. Zerator knows how to present these maps at the very least. And the one thing which he himself has said, and which a lot of, shall we say, the more hardcore Trackmania fans, if we'll say, need to remember, of course, that this tournament isn't for the players. This isn't maps that are supposed to be particularly easy to drive or particularly nice to drive or anything like that. These maps are purely for the spectators. These maps are it's where I suppose the identity got birthed from. These maps are designed to create drama. They're designed to have parts in it which are very difficult to do consistently, and so on. So I, at least looking from the outside, again, not being, shall we say, an educated regular Zerator map player, I'm not a connoisseur of these maps. I won't be able to tell you whether they are good or bad maps. I think as per the Zerator standard, I think I'd be able to watch a competition on these maps, without... not that I'd shout at my TV before, but it's not going to annoy me when I see players messing up on these maps. These maps look very enjoyable for those who are participating in this tournament, and that's what matters. These are people who, in some cases, live for the Zerator tournament kind of coming up once a year. But something which I was going to ask about, Turbo, you spoke a little bit about the format there. Something I was going to ask about, one of the main talking points of the format has been how the final stages will be decided, in terms of it being essentially that the player from the slowest player or the weakest link, so to speak, is going to be the most important person by the new rule set of this format. And that really threw up a lot of questions when you talk about the group of Carl, Bren and Kenny, for example. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it, and if you had a little bit more to say about that.
I mean, we already had that in the edition last year. It is not mattering until the point where you have, when it comes from round mode into cup mode. And in this edition, you have round mode, so you have 5 rounds at the beginning in the phase 1, which is the first day, 5 phases there, then it's time attack, and then there are 4 round settings. This will be no problem for Carl Jr. and Bren to just take that down. But just think about that. There are 9 players on the server, 9 players in cup mode, so afterwards in the semi-final. and each player has to, like, three players have to win, and there will be so much more strategical things where maybe Carl Jr. is just letting Kenny overtake him, and he will eventually have a finals attempt. But of course, at the end, the fastest player wins, right? And I'm not sure if he can keep up with the players. Of course, he can get a lucky punch by just coping the pressure best. But I think every player at this point, if there are 9 servers with 3 teams, so the top 27, I think that the top 27 of each top 9 teams is ready from that. So it will be hard for them to really go through there. And I was also seeing that one coming. But it's also cool that they are taking it maybe less seriously, because at the end of the day, it is about having fun and maybe not about the prize pool, which is of course divided by 3. 1,000 divided by 3, 333 euro. You know, that is not too much for a prize pool. Of course, it is still good money, but as you said, the tournament is more about the show, and I think also more about the casual side in this time, just having fun, you know, enjoy the practice with your boys, whoever you're playing with, you know, and that's how I also see that as well. That's why I put it or like picked a team which is not casual. Both of them are fast, but it's usually about practicing, having fun rather than just winning, I think.
Mm-hmm. And with this kind of edition coming out, I mean, it's obviously no secret that Zerator has been wanting to have a very much a showpiece event. I believe it was initially planned that the Zerator Cup would be hosted in the Accor Hotel Arena, one of the biggest arenas in Paris, I believe it is located. So, I mean, what I would kind of ask in terms of that, so, I mean, Turbo, you've attended a Zerator event offline and, of course, played a great deal of them online. So you can kind of get a sense of the scale and the impact that these events have. Does this one feel like it's almost like a placeholder, a little bit of a space holder, a warm-up, because we've not yet been able to return to the LAN event plan, the grand plan that Zerator had in the first place?
Of course, people participate. I mean, I'll take it from the player perspective. If it's like as hard to qualify to the grand final as it would be when there would be a live event or an online event, and I think partly, yeah, because you know it's the most prestigious event and everyone is participating. But I'm not sure how serious it will be taken from all the players, because if you would have said, okay, yeah, maybe the top 6 teams. So the top 18 players participating for the live event, you know, for the event there in Paris. I think more players would be good for that. But I think a warm-up event, yeah, you get a lot of exposure. But I think, yeah, well, I mean, we talked about that last time as well. It is more about the fact that you kind of play on stage and not online, because you sit here, play, and I think that's something way different compared to that. Of course, it can be a warm-up and a placeholder for this event, but it's nothing compared to a live event in front of 20,000 people, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Shorty, in your kind of time, you've played in quite a few LAN events, actually, in Gamers Assembly, and also one of the most well-known LAN event moments at the Nest, of course. But so, I mean, for as Turbo was saying, it's something we've spoken about at length in previous episodes. I mean, you can speak from yourself, both from your participation and from observing others, that LAN events just generally mean that great bit more to the players, regardless of what's at stake.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it means more. It's just you got a better memory about it, I think. You just hold it more dear to you, not because of the cup itself, but just because of the experience. I think that's the main difference there. As you already discovered, this Zerator Cup is about giving people a show, and in that sense, obviously, it's a cup that kind of misses the LAN finals with like the big amount of people that would watch there in the arena. But even then, it's still gonna be a really great show for people online, I think, as well. And considering it's less about the players and more about the show, it's maybe it's difficult to look at it from the player perspective, because yeah, it's a fun cup as a player, right?
Yeah,
so
it's a fun cup.
really, yeah, basically. So if it's offline or online, I don't think it makes that much of a difference on how much you actually prepare for the cup
It
itself.
does.
It does. Yeah,
Of
I don't
course
know.
it does.
But
Well, I mean, you can take the example 2019. You know, I practiced the hell out of this event because I know that there was a final and maybe a realistic chance that I can maybe qualify together with Marius. But last year I wasn't really interested because you know it was so long. Maps were also released, like there were 10 maps or 15 maps or something. And right now it's of course a bit better. But I think that going to that event and having a realistic chance there, even if you only have one shot, is the biggest thing for me. And that's why I also participated and try-harded in 2019 and not in 2020 that much. I just played the maps, okay, went to round number 5 or 6, I think, but that was it, you know, and I only played for fun, and this will be the same this year. I would not be disappointed if I go out, but in 2019, you know, there was more on the line. You could have played in front of like multiple thousand people, and that is something else compared to a boring online event. Of course, it's still exciting playing with your friends, getting also that exposure from Zerator, but I think that it's something completely different, so I have to disagree with that.
I guess it just adds this like one layer more of achievement, because even though in online you could still like achieve the same, like maybe top 16 or whatever it was you had to get for like the offline, but getting now top 60 probably isn't as prestigious as it would have been if you could have said, yeah, I was on the offline finals, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's how it is.
I mean,
guess-
what name do you mention from the semi-finalists? I mean, Sarah, for example. You know, he was there, but hardly anyone knows. But if the people went to the LAN event, you know, this guy was on stage. That is something else. You've seen him. He's played there on stage. He has done those things. And I think that is way more prestigious, to be honest. But I get your point, Toby.
Do you know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit? And it's almost like the kind of playing on TV kind of thing, right? If you're kind of playing, especially for Zerator's event, because you guys know the kind of production level that goes into his events when he's hosting them in stadiums, even when he's hosting them by himself, but obviously a different level when it goes to the events he hosts offline. And it does mean a lot for these players when they are going to be qualifying to the offline finals. And I suppose it means something different when there is a significantly higher deal being made out of the fact you get to top X, you know, top 8, top 16, whichever it is, when there is a big separation and there's a big environment change. You know, you're separating from online qualifiers to an offline event. You know, you're gonna be on a stage, you're gonna be in front of thousands of people. So there's a big deal about getting from that stage on to the next stage. But if you're on an online event like this one, getting through to that next round is just going to be a format change. You know, like you're going to get further in the tournament, sure, but you're going to be switching, as you said, from round mode to cup mode. But what I was initially wanting to say about the kind of TV kind of thing, now, it's just one of these things. People play Trackmania for different reasons. People try hard in Trackmania for different reasons. People train in Trackmania for different reasons. You know, some enjoy it, some want to excel. I mean, I tried hard in tech because I wanted to be one of the best. You know, I wasn't particularly enjoying my late times training a lot in tech, but I still done it because I wanted to be one of the best. You know, that was my reason for doing it. Plenty of other people had different reasons. You know, it's just one of those things. But for a lot of people, it may not be their primary reason, but you also need to take it in the back of the head that there is only so many opportunities in life you will get to be able to, I don't know, say to your parents and go, look at this. Here I am on stage in front of a few fucking thousand people, you know? There's only a few opportunities in life you're going to get that, okay? You know, playing at some offline event. Otherwise than that, you need to get to the grand final. Otherwise, you're never even going to get seen. You know, you need to make a big deal or something like that to be able to really. And I suppose that gives you a little bit of pride in what you do. You know, a little bit of a legacy that you can show that you were here and that people saw you. I mean, what one thing I always spoke about, Wally always told me, one of my good friends from back in the A&E days, and one of my good friends in general, is that that's one of his most memorable experiences from Trackmania. I do apologise, I'm getting absorbed, but one of his favourite experiences was at the ZRT Cup finals, because I mean, not that I'm going to say Wally's life fucking over or something like that, but you'd be hard pressed to say another time in his life going forward he's going to be on a stage with 3,000 people chanting his name like he did when he done the comeback in the ZRT Cup semi-final. You know, the crowd was screaming, Wally, Wally, Wally. You're never going to have that again, you know? And some people play for that. They play for that experience, you know, because it really means something to them. It means something to have that opportunity to have a crowd behind you, you know? And like I said, not that that's the only thing, but that's why LAN events always feel that much more important to me personally. And I can imagine, especially for Zerator tournaments, when you've got a guaranteed audience there that is going to be throwing their support behind someone, and you're going to be on the big stage. You're going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people that are either at the event or watching online. So, I mean, that's why I introduced it possibly being a warm-up cup. You know, I've just told the sun to go away now, as you can see. But that's how I kind of got the feeling for it. And is that kind of was that what was playing more into your mind when you were trying more for these offline events? Offline ZRT Cups, Turbo?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what you were playing for. On the one hand, it was of course the thing. You know, if you're in the quarterfinal and you know that everyone is watching because everyone is interested who's going into the semifinal or something. And of course, that is playing into my mind because just imagine 3,000 people just chanting your name. And I think this will do something with you. It's a moment that you will not forget. It's something unique. And yeah, of course, that really motivated me. But it was definitely very hard in 2019 when I tried. But it was a good experience also to like test the limits and stuff. To just have a goal that you might reach. You know, it's like a dream, and that's how I take it. Because I think no one is really caring about the money when they are playing there. Some people were just, okay, you know, I went to the semifinal. I was talking to a lot of people who actually attended the semifinals, and they were like, okay, you know, I attended the semifinals. Let's take a look onto the maps where I got everything that I want. I don't care if I'm in the final. I don't care if I win, if I lose. You know, they were just there for the exposure, and I think that's a great goal. Of course, you can still practice then, and no one really went out with getting clean swept, but still, I think it's a good experience. And with the warm-up event, yeah, I can definitely agree with that because now Zerator is bringing more people into the game. And it's getting more and more prestigious. And maybe the next edition will be even bigger because more people are motivated. I mean, 20,000 people watching. I think this is also doing something with the players who maybe are new to the game. Maybe you're also trying. Maybe someone is coming in and just bashes everyone because he's good. I don't know.
I really hope so.
Maybe Harvey Flyer comes back. Who knows?
Wait, didn't Harvey Flyer even play today? Was that? I think Harvey Flyer is actually back. Not sure if he's going to play ZRT, but I think someone saw him play.
I think is so with Harvey Flyer, he's in a kind of different walk of life. I'd very much doubt he would be coming back for an event like this and try-harding at the very least. I mean, I can imagine this being kind of the same thing as From Zero to Hero, but it'd be very interesting to see him coming back to play.
Didn't you want to play that?
From Zero to Hero, yeah, but it's one of those ones where you know, it's like when an old great player comes back, you know, it's really nice to see, and you know, they're really capable, but they're at a different stage of their life now, you know, they're at a different stage of their life, they've got different commitments, they don't have the same fire in the game. You only have very rare cases like someone like Carl who came back, you know, and properly dedicated themselves to that. At least as far as I'd heard, as SRK was saying there, Harvey Flyer was involved in the military through law studying or something like that. So I don't know if he's still doing that, but who knows? We'll see. Anyway, one other subject I wanted to it feels like I'm kind of shoehorning it in, which does feel a little bit of a shame considering how important it is actually the World Cup, which is coming up this Sunday, actually, which we haven't really had much of a chance to talk about. Of course, going to be coming up this Sunday and going to be played on a mix of maps from the past seasons of the Trackmania Grand League, albeit slightly altered slightly altered in terms of the maps and also a different format. It would be it will be coming back to the traditional cup mode format. It would be, as far as I know, it's a double elimination. I want to say, a double elimination. You have a consolidation final and so on, and basically going back to the way that the old playoff system for Trackmania Grand League was before they changed it to the Champions mode now. And traditionally, the way your Tech Dark Full Speed finals and all that have been done previously. But I wanted to get kind of your impressions of it, guys. We've had a few people qualifying directly from Trackmania Grand League, people who I believe were decided by the top 8 in points over the last 2 seasons, plus 8 people from an open qualifier. We had people like McQuattro coming in, with I believe Mudda qualified. I forget the rest of them now.
Default Soldier.
Yeah, Default Soldier, Binks. Scrappy, Binks, yeah.
Kappa.
Glad he's here because I'm useless otherwise. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of this, guys, in terms of the lineup, in terms of it going back to the original format? And SRK says he's not feeling too much hype for this edition. What's your guys' impression so far?
I mean, there should be hype because this is the first time we see like a very main event. A main event with this kind of format again. I mean, there were the other modes, the Champions mode that you've mentioned, but now we have the OG double elimination bracket again, which is great and can also, again, maybe someone is going from the loser bracket all the way to the consolidation final and then just brings a surprise. Maybe Carl Jr. is dropping out. I mean, of course, that will not happen because Carl Jr. is reaching every final. But, with this player field, it's super stacked. And I think it will be such a great competition to watch. Double elimination bracket. That already is music.
Single elimination, SRK.
Is it single? Damn. Okay, it's single elimination. I thought also it's double elimination, actually. But even single elimination, then it's getting even more spicier because then every match counts. There's a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and then the grand final already. So 3 matches and every match counts. But I'm also looking forward to the groups. Are the groups already drafted or not, actually?
I'd imagine if we're getting close to it, we will be having some information coming up to it. But in the meantime, Shorty, if I can aim this question at you. Now, some people, and I can, say the same from my experience and interacting with people, don't feel as hyped for the World Cup at the moment as we were mentioning.
Same.
Turbo certainly on the other side of things, still feeling the hype. But
I want to be hyped. Let's say it like that.
Right.
I should be hyped, but I'm not.
But if we explore the reason for that, do you think it's something to do with the World Cup itself, or do you think it's it's around the kind of change in time? It's around the same time as the Zerator Cup, and you're having the same kind of thing going on there, or do you think it's something else?
I think maybe a mix of both a little bit. One thing for sure, the Zerator Cup is in a way more prestigious just because it already exists for more editions already. People know what it's going to be like. People are already hyped because they already watched it the previous years and stuff, and people know how big it's going to be. And the World Cup, I think it's the 2nd edition, or is it already the 3rd?
This World Cup is the first World Cup that they're doing.
Yeah, but the one they already did one though.
No,
they've done TMWC before, which was the last.
Which is a World Cup, Trackmania World Cup, TMWC.
It was World Championship.
World Championship. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Those were tech maps and no TMGL maps.
Yeah, but you can still draw some similarities. Even then, even if it's the 1st or 2nd edition, but it's definitely a new tournament, and you don't really have like hype from previous editions in that case. And considering that the marketing isn't really it's difficult because ZRT definitely overshadows it just with his pure presence in the game and social media and stuff, and also on even on Twitch, the presence of the ZRT Cup is just more dominant than the World Cup. I think that's part of it, definitely.
It also gets overshadowed by the new update with Royal Mode. You have all those things coming up. I mean, everyone is like going for Zerator and Royal, let's say like that. And then there's also, there's the World Cup.
Yeah, and the World Cup doesn't even make use of any of the new blocks, for example, and stuff like that. It's I don't know, maybe a missed opportunity, maybe a bit unlucky with the timing and stuff. But the only thing that did kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps lately was, did you watch that video trailer on the YouTube channel from Trackmania Grand League about Kappa? Like there was this 1 or 2 minute long video, kind of like an introduction to the World Cup, sort of, with Kappa. And that one was really well made. If they would have done this kind of stuff for more players than only Kappa and already started a couple of weeks ago, then I think that would have built up the hype a little bit more.
But
because that was so well done, that video.
Am I the only one who already had that video in his mind? Was it re-uploaded? I think so, right?
I've never seen it before.
I've seen it before somewhere.
Maybe in your dreams.
Maybe a deja vu, but no, I have somewhere seen that video before. I don't know where, but I've seen it.
Really?
Yes.
I can't remember I saw it, but it's definitely a great video. Because it's already 3 months old. Oh.
Yeah, look, I knew where this is coming from. But I saw the video last year. I doubt that, SRK, because there is the winter map on this one. But, or is it the fall map? Or no, it's the winter map, SRK. It's the sausage winter map. And not the fall map. But then you have seen it maybe last year in your dreams.
But me. Still, that was a great video. Let's put it like that. And it would have been great if more of those videos for the other players would have been done as well. Because the content is definitely there. It would have been great, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we had spoken about it a little bit previously about, do you classify the ZRT Cup as being a more prestigious tournament or the most prestigious tournament, and I suppose that kind of argument is being demonstrated now. And don't get me wrong, I certainly sympathise. I know Nadal are going for their kind of system now, where they're doing, I believe it's like a 9-month calendar where they'll do 2 Trackmania Grand League seasons and then a World Cup at the very least. That's kind of what they seem to be going for this time. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing the same thing next time, but we'll see when they release the new calendar as they did last time. But I mean, you can sympathise with them when they've had this calendar set out, but it always was going to be a Zerator Cup around about this time. And when you're going head to head with him, both parties are going to come out a little bit worse off, I did recall going into a Twitch chat recently. I can't remember whose it was, but they were talking about how another kind of side effect of this is you are going to have players who are going to be prioritizing one competition over the other. And these players are going to be participating in both competitions. I believe Gwen was one of the ones people mentioned I believe it was actually in Irik's Discord, if I do correct myself, that the people in Irik's Discord were saying that Gwen is going to be primarily tryharding for the Zerator Cup instead of Trackmania World Cup, TMWC, as a result of him, just feeling like that's going to be more beneficial for him. And I think that also in a part plays into the hype coming down a little bit. And I do certainly see what SRK is saying there about the World Cup, not really feeling... it's almost like a Europe Cup plus Carl Jr. pretty much, and well, I suppose Mudda as well. But
wow.
It reminds me of when you go back to when they done the initial qualifiers for TMGL and they basically just deleted Oceania because they didn't think anyone from that region was good enough, I remember that for the beta season, where they deleted the South American qualifiers. But just talking shit, but you guys know what I mean. But I mean, Turbo, do you have any more thoughts of as I said, we spoke about ZRT being the most prestigious tournament and such, but also why people might not be feeling the hype as much for that TMWC?
Maybe, it's a good point. I mean, maps getting reused, we have other things in our mind, and also maybe the summer break. There can be various reasons. We see Scrappy and Spam practicing on stream, and also Muda, but I don't know. It's a good point, but I think also that we don't really get too much to know from. There's like no hype created there. There's your post, yeah, like, okay, this player is playing. He's in Team Edelweiss, and yeah, he has qualified from this. That's it. But there's not like the cool movie. Yeah, it was good, but something is missing. We had 10K views in the qualifier, which is great. We had a great cast from Matic and Virtual, but I think something is missing. There could be more PR done for this.
Yeah, let's be honest. Nadio was bad at building hype. Let's just say it.
Maybe I'm missing out on that. Maybe they have tried that, but just posting it on Instagram on Twitter is not enough. I even was thinking about that. Whatever, but there has to be something. But maybe we're not feeling the hype because, well, we know the maps. What else is there? The players are good though, but I'm also like thinking, why am I not hyped about that? Because when we were preparing or going through the topics for today, no one was mentioning World Cup, and it is taking place this weekend. The first step of it, and that is something that usually never happens. I mean, just take a look onto, let's say, maybe other events, other prestigious events from 0 to Hero. Everyone was hyped about that. Maybe because it's not our business. I don't know. Maybe there are other things, and I think for me it is because there are other things on Trackmania. There's Royal Mode, there is Zerator Cup. I think that's the reason, but you cannot solely bring it down to that. I think anyone has its reasons, because maybe also weather is good. You're outside. I don't know.
Not having new maps is definitely a big reason, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let me introduce something as well. It's something I've kind of thought a little bit about when we've been talking about the difference that ZRT has in his online and offline tournaments, and also the kind of prestige difference. And one thing that kind of, like, when we don't feel as hyped up for a tournament like this, and we don't feel as hyped up for TMGL playoffs as much. Well, the TMGL playoffs are definitely interesting, but let me kind of draw a comparison here. Now, we know when a Zerator event is going into a playoffs that there is going to be an upstep in the level of production value, albeit that the upstep is diminished slightly as a result of the online error limiting capabilities. But when it was especially going to an offline event with the difference there, it was massive. You'd have a stage, but you would have a lot of props there. You would have a lot of video work that had been done, a lot of hype videos that had been made in the build-up, a lot of content made about the players and so on. But I feel like this tournament is the only difference I'm seeing about this tournament compared to any other tournament that's being ran by some other organizations at the moment, is that it's got a bigger prize pool, and more people will be watching it. We still have because look at it this way, right? We've still got Virtual controlling the stream. I was just about to say that, as SRK's now put it up. Virtual is the caster, he's the director, he's the producer, and all the rest of this, right? Mm-hmm. So all the content's coming from him with what Nadio have added as assets and things like that. Now, not that I'm using this solely to plug ESAC, Gear Down Invitational put together something that was arguably as good, if not better, production value on the stream itself. If we just talk about the kind of visuals that were used, the video work that was done, it's on the same level as Trackmania Grand League, and that shouldn't be the case. That definitely shouldn't be the case for something that was ran with zero prize pool, that was ran essentially out of all of Erwin's work by himself against, because here's the thing, right? You can use Zerator as the other extreme and say, of course we can't get to that level because he's got massive amounts more resources than Nadio have, and that makes sense. But you also shouldn't have the other side where you have someone like, well, I wouldn't even put myself into that, Erwin, putting in all of the effort into the Gear Down Invitational, and of course a fantastic job to him. And if you haven't watched that, I would definitely recommend you go and do that. But it's one of these things where we shouldn't be able to reach that same level that Nadil were putting out with TMWC. We shouldn't be able to reach that. There should be a discernible difference in quality between what singular people are able to do and a company are able to do for their showcase. And that personally, I think with the online era, especially in Trackmania, has really drove my interest down, as it feels like all the time I'm watching the same tournament, different players and different maps. You know, there's nothing special about this tournament. They're not doing anything different. You know, Trackmania Grand League might be more active in their Twitter feed than I was because I'm fucking lazy. But I mean, what do you guys think of that? I mean, I do feel a bit bad for drawing the comparison between Gear Down and TMWC because, of course, I'm naturally biased towards Gear Down, but I suppose you guys won't be as much. So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a good point because I think that you got something there because, you know, I watch a lot of other esport games to just try to develop my cast. And let's take League of Legends. You usually have someone who is just spectating the game. He's focusing on, you know, he's maybe, let's say, Scotty, maybe virtual Scotty, Geek, and Mia casting. You know, 4 people casting. You know, they're just like a group. Then someone with a good knowledge would just focus on spectating, changing scenes. The other one would prepare, search out information that the other 2 can use. And then you just split the roles. And I think that is really something that is missing in Trackmania, that we have someone who's like behind and just tries to bring you guys the production. And that is something that we really have to focus on. And, you know, I got a Stream Deck, for example, also for casting, that I can easily swap scenes. But of course, monitoring everything while you're talking, while you want to spectate someone, it can get really hard. But you get used to that. But still, I think that it's something that is really lacking. I think that's not the fault of anyone here, but just maybe a common sense to evolve, because you're not doing something and just settle down and be like, okay, I just do that, and you always strive to be better. And it would be a good thing to maybe adapt that somewhere. I definitely want to try that out if I do a cup or if I host a cup again, that maybe the production value gets better, because it's also good for the viewers. Maybe add some highlights in between the rounds, you know, someone just researches the clips, put them in there, you know, with the studio mode, with the stream elements or whatever. It's possible. But of course, you need more. It cannot be a 1-man or a 2-man army, and it can be better. So production value is something very important, because as you've mentioned, it feels like watching the same tournament again, and it's not like wow, okay, the casters are doing something, or okay, highlights in between there. You know, there's not just break, cast, information, break, cast, information. That is how it's going. But of course, it's also hard to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I also completely agree with that. It's something I didn't really think about it this way, but it's definitely true. If you want your cup to be special, then you have to be special in one way or another, and production value obviously has to be very high. I think another maybe cool idea that they already tried out but didn't really execute it well is what they did for the identities with those custom cameras, because you could basically make the whole replay cameras like TV cameras on like Formula 1 races and stuff, where if they are placed well, then they are definitely going to enhance the viewing experience, because
they weren't placed well. What?
Yes, they were really horrible.
Somewhere good, but somewhere...
some were good, but then some were literally horrible. They made no fucking sense. But anyway, I think the idea behind it is really great, because it's something that I, myself, as a really good player, if I would watch that now, I kind of don't really want it in a way, because I want to see the lines of the players. But I think for the viewing experience itself, it's definitely way better when you have those kind of cameras, because they take it out of the lines themselves and more into they put the focus more on what's actually happening, like people overtaking because of stuff and like that. So it's like I'm basically watching it with the wrong mindset already because of the cameras, maybe a little bit, you know. So if you have those cameras, you put more of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's at least the idea. You know, it's definitely possible in Trackmania. Trackmania has so many possibilities for camera work and stuff, and I think the idea behind those identity cams were really great, and they should just do that, but for the whole track, basically.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there is so much potential in what can be done. I mean, Nadeo are clearly showing that they're willing to stand behind Virtual, and how they clearly view him as their main focus in terms of, you know, exposure and casting and so on and so forth. So I mean, it makes sense that you would want to make resources available to him. But the problem is that it seems to be he's getting the same as what we all got when we were casting Trackmania Grand League, and that goes as far as a Google Drive folder with a bunch of files in it, you know, and then leaving us to do the work, which doesn't make sense. I mean, even when you've got the best caster, I mean, primarily in Trackmania, we've always, I mean, I think the only time there's really been a proper production team, I think SRK tried it. Full Speed League and the Gear Down Invitational. That's well, Full Speed League, I don't believe done production and observing in the same way that the Gear Down.
But they also had the idea, but it was hard to realize it. But then Nathan stepped down, so unfortunately.
The point I'm trying to get to is a little bit different, but the thing with the difference that the Gear Down Invitational gave is that if you have a caster, instead of the caster having to worry about switching the scenes, having to worry about paying attention to everything that's going on, and renditioning that for the audience, that then takes a few of those things out of the caster's hands. They don't need to worry about paying attention specifically to everything that's going on in track, because the observer will be focusing on that. That was my role when we were doing the Gear Down Invitational. It was my job to pay exact attention to any flashpoints that were happening. It was my job to concentrate if anyone was dropping behind a significant amount, or if overtakes had happened, so that when Turbo saw that, then it would be natural. He just flows naturally into that because it's coming up on his screen. You know, it's what he's seeing instead of what he has to seek out. You know, so it takes out that kind of step and having to figure out what you want to see and then talk about what you are seeing. So hence why I thought the observer, it allows a little bit of a step up in that value, because it allows the caster more room to be able to excel in what they do. But also on the other side of the things, when you have someone who handles the production, instead of it being me sitting there trying to remember to fucking show the map preview video before we go live because I've got two different scenes to worry about, and then I've got my other screen to worry about because I don't know when the match is actually starting because I've not been told. I mean, you have all that to worry about, and even if you do that all right, there is so much more room there for things that could be done that you aren't able to do because you've got to worry about so many different things. I'm sure Virtual's got the same problem. It doesn't matter if you've got a fucking stream deck, then you can just press buttons. You as a caster want to be concentrating solely on what you're seeing and then commentating on what you're seeing and bringing that to everyone else. In my opinion, it is then a production team's job. An individual, Erwin showed he could do it by himself. You know, so it's clearly there's more capable. There's a lot of capable people out there. So I mean, in my opinion, especially if you're doing a flagship event, there should be a demand for someone to be there who will handle all of the stuff that you are seeing. So Virtual can excel more in his attempt to, you know, bring the event to the fans and how he speaks about it and how he talks about it, and the production person can focus on bringing the visual side to you. Like, that's what makes sense to me, and I don't understand why Trackmania has been so slow in adopting that. It seems to be that virtually no one's interested in actually doing that. Like, me and Erwin were talking quite a while ago in the preparation for Gear Down Invitational about if we would be able to have someone interested in doing that. We thought to ourselves, I can't think of anyone who's ever done that in Trackmania. And I find it weird now, because I said in the Gear Down Invitational, we set the bar, but it feels like no one else has even met it. And I know this sounds like me being more biased, but there's no other tournaments that have really went to have an observer, went to have someone doing production. We were doing it for fucking free, me and Erwin, you know? We were doing it by ourselves in those specific roles. So clearly it's not that hard. And I think, you know, of someone of significantly more resources than us, you know, the excuses for that are not very much, if I'll say so.
Yeah, I mean, some factor that is maybe bad was the fact that, you know, you were in charge of the cameras. Of course, sometimes it can be good, but it can sometimes also not go with the flow, like in other games. Let's say League of Legends, you have a Drake fight, and then maybe there's something going on, but you know where you have to focus on because that is, you can distinguish that. But it's always hard to find at the because Trackmania is so fast-paced in this regard, it's so hard to really swap the camera then. But I think it's a good idea to at least have someone who's just focusing on casting and maybe camera work. And also, you know, I was watching Frostbuild's cast. He swapped to backwards camera, like when someone crashed. I really find that one admirable, like that I can also implement into my cast. But, you know, there has to be something onto it that you have this wow moment, because if we prepare that one to, let's take Rocket League or other esport games that Trackmania eventually wants to compete with, you know? I mean, that's their goal, to expand esport, and it's going good, but right now 10,000 people watching and you have virtual taking over that. You need more people behind that, and I cannot agree more with that. It's the most tedious thing before an event. You get the Google Drive folder, you have to implement the stupid overlay, like half an hour. Then you also have to prepare for the cast. Look who's in there. You know, you're at least 1 hour in there, and Paul, you also know that how it is, you know. And it's something that should not be my job to implement the cast, the overlay, and then I'm just pressing the button and just swap on my Stream Deck here and press the button. You know, it's working because I can just use like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know what to press. But still, there can be someone behind that where we just have a briefing, and he's just saying us, yo, you can talk then, and then it works like a charm. And then he also is in charge of adding the highlights in a break. Then it also gets interesting, maybe some statistics. That is all possible, but yeah, we definitely have to develop there, and maybe we can set the standards. Maybe in some other bigger events, I try to also implement that and to improve, because I don't want to stand still. And yeah, we have the opportunities. I mean, with all the technique right now and everything, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But of course, we have some other things which we will be able to get to. I mean, TMWC, we're of course going to be coming back to next week while we discuss the results and so on, and kind of take from there how we feel about the event once it's finished. Because of course, it's one of those ones we were very hesitant, or we were very, I don't know, we were very critical of the Champions mode before we saw it. The first time we saw it, we were also very critical. We didn't really like the way it all panned out. But then the second one had a little few changes that came back, and then, you know, we were happy with it. So who knows, you know, our expectations may very much be upset by the upcoming TMWC, and there's still time to be doing that. Of course, it will be coming up this Sunday. I believe it is only casted by virtual. I'm not entirely sure if anyone is allowed to, and I don't think anyone else is actually involved in that. I've not heard Medic being mentioned yet, but we will see. Apparently TM news is on fire. Feel free to hit us up with what's happening, because the only news that you should be worrying about is right here. But anyway, so the one main talking point which we have, which, I mean, I don't know fucking Shorty Wee's black book of information about what's going on in Trackmania, heard about it before us, before it came out. But I mean, it's certainly something that, I mean, I anticipated something like this coming, but I mean, it was still a surprise in seeing how everything came out. We knew something, I suppose, would be coming with the Ubisoft Connect show at E3, and we have since, you know, had all of the information come out. I mean, Shorty, you know, you've had I mean, before the podcast, you were saying, oh yeah, we need to talk about this, but can you give us a little bit of an overview of the update itself, what's came with it, and what points you feel are kind of the trigger points of this update?
Yeah, basically, let's just focus on what actually got added to the game first. So the very first thing, even before the big update that got added, is 2 new alternative cameras. Like you have like a normal cam 1 that's a bit further away from the car. It's not as if the car moves, the camera doesn't really move as much with the car. Camera 2 is a little bit closer to the car, obviously, right? And it moves more with the car. Cam 3 is like this first-person kind of camera, and you already had the old Cam 3 from the older games, where you would like basically as a front of the car, and the new Cam 3 there's basically you sitting really as a driver. And now you got different, and now you also got a different Cam 1 that's a little bit closer to the car. It still behaves like the normal Cam 1, but it's just a little bit closer, and the FOV is a little bit higher. And you basically got the same thing for camera 2, so that it's the same camera, but just closer to the car and also higher FOV. That's the first thing they added to the game. Then there was the big update, obviously, with the Royal mode, as we already talked, as we mentioned. So the Royal mode, I don't think I have to like go into the details what the Royal mode is right now, right? That's maybe a bit too detailed, but basically you have a new Royal mode. It's kind of like Fall Guys Trackmania, shorter version. Obviously, because Fall Guys without moving blocks wouldn't be any fun in Royal, so they added moving blocks to the game. They added a lot of moving blocks actually, and they also added more. They didn't only add more normal blocks. They introduced. Okay, that's. What am I even saying right now? Okay, focus. Okay, so they added new materials. They added plastic, which is very, very slippery. They added water, which people wanted since basically the game came out without having water. So they reintroduced water now, which is similar to the old water, but the water bounce got a little bit changed and adjusted. Then obviously the moving blocks, and what they also added, which maybe is not really that well known, they added a lot of more block variants. Like you have like platform with holes in it, and you got like the triangle blocks that a lot of people wanted in diagonal stuff and something like that. So you got a really great update for a lot of mappers. You got those poles, which is something that a lot of scenery mappers in general and mappers really wanted back, because Trackmania has a history with driving on poles. Yeah, that's basically what they added. And there's a kind of hidden new feature. It's not really, it didn't get announced for some reason. I don't really understand why, because obviously it's supposed to be sort of a helping hand for a lot of keyboard players. You got action buttons, and those action buttons basically work in a way of DX Tweak worked. If any one of you knows how DX Tweak worked in like Team United forever, a lot of people used it for certain environments. And basically with those action buttons from 1 to 9, you can adjust your maximum steering output. So if I set action button 1, for example, if I press that, then I set my max steering to 10%. So if I now press right on my car, on my keyboard, or even on the gamepad, it works there as well. Then after 10%, the car stops steering more, so it just steers 10%. And you can make the same thing for 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 90%. And you got another button to reset it. That's basically what they added. That's a rundown of everything they added in the new update.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr.
Actually, I forgot something. I forgot something, because there's even more. It really was a really big update.
Take it
obviously,
away.
Yeah. Because water itself would be boring. If you go out of water, your tires are wet, which changes your which changes the handling of the car on the surfaces. And there are 2 new special blocks. One new block, cruise block. If you drive over the cruise block, it keeps your speed, so you can't accelerate more. And if you become drift,
Thomas Cole, cruising.
Yeah, you're just cruising. And it just keeps your speed basically. You can still drift and you can still brake, but immediately after the car is gonna re-accelerate to the certain speed you cross that block. And there's another special block that is called no brake, and it basically does what you would expect of the no brake block. You can't brake.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it now. Finally, that's all the features.
Yeah, but if I can keep it with you, Short, one of the things which I know Turbo groaned a little bit about was the action buttons. But I mean, out of this update, what are the kind of flash points you would say? What are the points that have either been super important and how they've been keep coming out, or has there been anything else that's been really noteworthy about either its deployment or how people have reacted to it, would you say?
So very important is obviously the mode, right? The moving blocks is definitely also very, very noteworthy. It's not only useful for Royal, you can definitely also use it really well in other maps. And now that they adjusted the timing a little bit, because the timing was a little bit off at the beginning, but now you can actually, the timing is always going to work perfectly for offline modes, for online modes, time attack rounds. So you can build really nice maps using that timing now. And in my opinion, the action blocks, because the action blocks are definitely very controversial in a way, and I think it's kind of a hidden feature, but it's very, very, very powerful, because you can now with keyboard. We always had this problem that for example, in ice bobsleigh, keyboard players either just lost time or I think Kappa was it, like with that video of him, where you had his keyboard and also a gamepad to like use the gamepad for in those turns. So basically now they don't have to use that because they have got the action buttons. They can just press what was it? I think 6 or I think 6 or something like that. Is it like 60% for bobsleigh? They can just press that button. And after they are down off the turn, they can just press another button to reset it. It's pretty easy. If you are a keyboard player, you obviously have the whole keyboard at your hands, right? You got so many, you got enough buttons to find a place for that.
Just a small warning, folks. The Scotland match has now started, and you may hear some background noise as a small warning.
True, it is. It is the group finishing, and they can still make it on the third position if they win.
Yeah,
on the second even.
We'll see. But today's not the time for talking about the Euros. Turbo, you groaned a little bit at hearing the talk of action buttons. Run me through why that was. What was your kind of thoughts on this update?
No, it was only because Toby was ranting about that beforehand. There's one setting that is really, really triggering me, okay? Okay, I want to quickly introduce you to my controller settings, okay? So, if I press my D-pad button, like in here, like this, okay? It changes to camera 3. If I press this button here, it changes to camera 3. So 1, 3, okay? So I have those buttons here. And if I press this button too hard, it changes between the new cam 1 and the old cam 1. So I don't know, I have no idea why the cam 1 should change between the old and the new one. So I'm playing and like it's changing between cam 1, cam 3, between everything. You know, I was literally just pressing those buttons to change the camera when I was bored. But it's a complete clown fiesta. It's switching between 4 cameras. And I don't know why they did that. Why you shouldn't have an option, because I was trying that out, but this is something that they should maybe not implement, because if I want to change to camera 1, it doesn't mean that I want to play with the other cam. You should have a different option for that as well, to be honest. I
think everyone agrees on that point. I hope Adeo really does change that.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
Because I was buying this controller for that particular reason, that I can change the camera. Because if I press the button here too hard and I'm playing in cam 1 and I have a hard right turn, you know, it doesn't matter because I'm in cam 1 anyway. Makes sense, right? And I don't want to swap into the camera where I see my car like this. Of course, this camera makes sense. It's a good addition, you know, even though if I don't play with it, it's a good addition.
Kind of. The new cam 1 makes sense, but I don't think anyone, like literally no one, is playing with the new cam 2 because it makes no fucking sense again. It's way too close. You can't see your car at all. It just doesn't make sense. I made a proposition about the cam 2, like something I would really want as a cam 1 player, because something that is really annoying me in this new game, really, you got so many possibilities with reactor stuff and driving on walls and driving upside down. But if you play with cam 1, and there isn't like an automatic cam change to cam 3, you might have already noticed if you drive upside down with cam 1, you can't even see you don't even see anything. You can't see your car. You see nothing. You just stare into the wall basically. And what I would want, like really want, is like a mix between cam 1 and cam 2. Like it obviously because I like cam 1, and I know that is the reason cam 1 being the way it is, that it doesn't work upside down. But if they only would like give us a cam 1 that is a little bit adjusted, still kind of feels like cam 1, but it's just working upside down, and I just would want that, you know. I just hate it. I mean, obviously you can always drive with cam 3, but you don't always want to drive in cam 3 in those kind of sections, because those sections still require you to drift and stuff, and you're just not used to drifting with a different camera. That's what I would want for the alternative camera 2 to be, because no one is using that. Like really, literally no one is using that cam. I don't know anyone.
Maybe try to personalize your settings, but also, you know, I use the camera also when camera 1 is weird at some point, or when I respawned, that I quickly just press cam 3 and then cam 1 to just reset my camera. You know, that is a valid technique. And right now it seems that it's not really working anymore because of that setting. And just when I play a tech map and I go into left turn again, it is really bad. And I hope that they're gonna fix that. Maybe they don't know about that issue because
they do.
Okay, hopefully they remove it.
I mean, they do know about it, but I can't really say that they know about the issue, because that's how we think about it. But no, I think after enough criticism, I think they're going to change it. I think they're going to realize it makes no sense, because right now, as you already said, I mean, I guess I can explain it shortly. You got an option for using the alternative cameras, but this option doesn't just change your cam 1. It only means that it's going to be your base cam 1, and that's and the way it works is if you press cam 1, it changes to cam 1, right? And if you press cam 1 again, then it's going to change to the alt cam. And if you change the setting to like enable alt cam, it doesn't disable or enable the different cameras. It just means that if you press cam 1 the first time, then it's going to be the alt cam coming up. But you can still access the other one if you press 1 again. And like Turbo said, in a lot of settings, you don't like pressing something like those sticks, pressing them down. You can't just press them down in like one instant. Like it's always gonna register like multiple clicks if you do it like that. And even in other settings, I watched Granadi stream, and he was playing the Zerator map where he was like switching between cam 1 and cam 3, and more than half of the times he switched to the wrong camera the whole time.
I had it as well, yeah.
It just makes no sense, right? I mean, even the people that would use those new cameras, they wouldn't. You would just use either the new cam 1 or the old cam 1, or either the new cam 3 or the old cam 3. It doesn't make sense the way it got implemented right now. It's not how people would ever use it. That's the problem.
But yeah, let's stop ranting over that, because I think for me, actually, it's the only negative point in this new update. I think it's the only negative part, and
thing is,
if I'm remembering something that you guys have forgot about, I mean, there was the change that broke map 24, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that.
I mean,
and the fact that when the updates first got released, the game was virtually unplayable.
Yeah, per se, it's not a bad update. And I was actually talking to that about a friend, and there's one thing that you should never do: change things in the midst of a season. But the problem in Trackmania is that there is no preseason. You know, there's no things that people can try out. Of course, there's the alpha client or whatever, where people can address things, and maybe they get implemented into the game, or maybe not. We don't know about that, because I have no idea what is going on in the alpha. But, you know, I agree that is actually bad. Because it has broken a lot of maps, and also beforehand there were an update. I think the map Ghost from Simon was also unplayable because of some physics changes. But I think all in all, the ideas, that's what I wanted to say, the ideas of the updates with the royal mode, with the new blocks, they're good. But again, there are a lot of things added that are maybe not good, but they are trying, they are trying. They want to do a good game, but unfortunately things break.
If I might, at least I can sort of try to explain why it happened like that. I mean, it doesn't justify it anyway. But the thing is, the reason why they broke those maps now, even though you could have foreseen it, is that basically with the new big update and already in the updates that were preparing that update, they started making physics changes to adjust for the new blocks and new physics and stuff. And they changed, I'm not sure if, they did change the hitbox of the car, for example, a little bit and stuff like that, which obviously breaks certain maps. And the reason they already pushed this new update that breaks, for example, 24 is that they're just thinking if you're gonna do every single physics change that we know about, gonna do it right now, and then afterwards they can stop doing them again. Obviously, in this certain case, for this certain bug, because it wasn't really a bug, it was just unintended behavior of icy tires and boost. It would have been better for them to just wait for that one and do it on the last day, or do it with the release of new maps, because they probably could have done it. But it's also to say, if you already know about the bug or about something you want to fix, then saying no, we don't fix it now and we're going to do it later is a very dangerous thing. Both you can forget it, and if you can fix it right now and it works, and you're gonna it can also introduce other problems later if you try to I got it fixed, but let's bring it in later. It's also a dangerous thing in a way. And that's the reason why it already got pushed now, even though I think that you were kind of aware that it might break those maps. Mm-hmm. It doesn't justify it, but let's be honest. I want to stop ranting as well, but I have one more thing to say. Every single one that complains about not being able to get auto time on those maps, or not being able to hunt those maps anymore for 10 fucking days, or that one guy that his map broke, I don't fucking care about it, because wait, no, I don't want to insult anyone.
You go in the wrong direction there.
No, but me and Lars, we built a map for months, and it got broke.
So now he's crying.
If anyone is allowed to complain, I am allowed to complain, because was it Parhelion? No, it wasn't Parhelion, but that guy that his map got broken, he can at least fix it, but we can't.
I mean, right. It's tragic. Right? It is tragic. Now, one thing I will say about this, right? Now, let's be honest, the update timings have never been good. I mean, I remember when MP4 got released and it broke Trackmania. It's still broken Trackmania, but it was released, I think, a few hours before a TMM final. I seem to remember, and it was almost to the point where we had to note down match scores on paper and to do it on time attack and do one round at a time, because it was just that non-functional. I seem to remember for a semi-final or a final. But one thing I'll say, right, obviously you've kind of pinned yourself into a corner, as you've said, with the whole campaign system, the whole fact that you can be in, you're going to be in a campaign no matter what, unless you're going to do it like the iRacing kind of way, where, pardon me, you'll bring in an update with the change of campaign kind of thing, or the change of season. iRacing do updates every 13 weeks. They have a 12-week cycle of events. They have a 1 week where they'll open it up with just silly and fun events, and then they'll introduce a major patch, and then, it keeps recycling. So, I mean, maybe something like this I would more suggest would be the way of doing it. But one thing I will say, I like the balls, and not just saying that as a general term, just to be clear, but I like the balls that Nadil have to come out with a fix, to come out with something new, to come out and try something different, albeit it did break things for a day or two. They're coming out and they're changing little things that do matter, little boost timings and shit like that. They're changing different surfaces. They're introducing differences in how things interact, like how surfaces interact with other surfaces. They are changing the game as it goes, and that's something I worried about, because we look at the old it's one thing I always wind up Birkin about, the TMNF RPG player, and it's how like some players are so stuck in the groove with Trackmania, they love bugs, and those people are fucking deranged. Okay, if you love landing bugs, ram bugs, and all that kind of shit in TMNF, you're deranged. I don't care. You're done. Okay. I'm done with you. You're banned from the chat. You're never going to be here in another Let's Talk Trackmania episode again. Although since we're discussing the new game, none of them would be here anyway. But before I, before I piss off half of the fucking 30-plus-year-olds of our community, I mean, like, we think of it this way with old things that have been ingrained into the game. Things like ram bugs. Think how long we've had to exist with ram bugs, with landing bugs, and all the rest of that. And it took a ballsy update to change that. Some people were against it. The finish bugs, some people were against that as well. I remember having an argument with Riolu. Not that he's like a forbidden saying now, but I remember having an argument with him once or shall we say a debate. Argument sounds like a bad thing, because I said that finish bugs should have never been in the game anyway. It's something that's been clearly unintended, and he attempted to relate that also to drifting being unintended. So should drifting be reversed or taken away from the game? So I mean, obviously you can have your debates about it and all the rest of that, but clearly I won that one anyway. But my whole point of this is that if there is a problem in this game that they've identified, or something they want to change in this game that they've identified, I respect the fact that they're going out and they're doing that. They're not sitting on things that need to be changed, or they want to be changed for months, or not leaving things which need to be changed, or they want to be changed permanently, like they did with a fucking broken Trackmania 2 stadium, or TMNF that's still bug ridden and always will be bug ridden. It's one of these things. Some of them we might enjoy more, some of them we might not. But that's the kind of way I look at it in general. Like, well, not I look at it in general. I do view it as a kind of redeeming factor. I like the fact that they are coming out and updating the game, and they are making changes, because it shows they're still invested. They're still shaping the game. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, of course they're still shaping the game, but shouldn't they do it after a season? I mean, imagine you hunted those tracks, or maybe, of course, that still doesn't justify it. Still, people wasted their time on this track maybe to get into the top 100, or into the top 10 or whatever, and now you're like, okay, we don't count those times anymore. See ya. Maybe
but they do count. Do they count?
No.
Did they say they don't count the times?
I think they don't get the points from the campaign, from the maps, and that is something that is not good in my eyes. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think that they will not count the maps, because also you cannot beat those times. Yeah, look, and I got.
Okay, that's even worse then, though.
Yeah, and that's the fact that really bugs me, Of course, also the track breaks and stuff, but there should be something. I don't know. It's hard because, in a game like, let's say, again, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, it's something static going on, and you usually only play, or you play a map, and if a map is broken, you can fix it and you can still play it, but the times are there, or you want to play a map, the times from the past are there, and that's something harder. And I think that this is something that is, of course, unlucky for Trackmania, but a lot of maps have been broken because of that. The physics changes are good. I like that. Also, maybe it was necessary. I don't know if this was really necessary for him, as well as with some other bugs in the past, but we're gonna see. Maybe it works out better for us. I mean, I played, for example, this beam balance map. Maybe you guys remember it, where I was falling down and getting PTSD from, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was able to finish it last Monday, and it was so much easier now. It was so much easier now with the new physics, because all of your four wheels are apparently accelerating, and your car is like less likely to fall down, and I like that. But do you really have to change that? Is the change really necessary? That was my opinion about that. But maybe with the new water physics added into the game, maybe it was. I don't know. I mean, Nadio's doing a great job, and I cannot stress that one enough. But of course, will that again provide more mistakes, or should you not just work with that what you had in the past? That was my idea behind that. But I'm just trusting them. Of course, there are still some things that they have to shape, but I guess that we're gonna figure that out in the future, because they probably are ready or preparing. And as you said, Paul, they're shaping the game. Maybe that's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of these things which, as always, it seems to be, we have a few of them going. It's going to be a developing story in the future of Trackmania, and we will see, no doubt, as Shorty was saying there, perhaps some updates to the updates, so to speak, some revisions, perhaps, as to refining and further reshaping the game in future. But it's something we'll certainly be keeping our eyes on. But I suppose not really. Well, yeah, it will be something that we might see in the next few weeks, I'd imagine. But also, I think it's. I wouldn't expect updates of this kind of scale regularly. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's coming up to the 1 year mark for a lot of the resubscriptions coming in. Like, that's. We see what you're doing there, Nadia.
If they do that every year, then it's totally fine.
We always knew it was going to happen. I mean, as long as they bring out something new each time, we'll see. But I think this update was a positive update all in all.
Agreed.
I like the look of the Royale update. I like the fact that they are changing some things. I've not been able to play the game enough to comment on whether I feel the other kind of changes have been successful or unsuccessful, but I think a positive update in general, and this has been, a good well, maybe not a good implementation, but a good addition to the game, shall we say. And no doubt we will be able to cover it more in future. But I'll check in with you two if we have any updates, any further topics you guys want to check out just before we finish. But also for you folks in the chat, as always, if you do have any topics you wish for us to cover, and no SRK, we are not going to be covering this fucking flags drama that's happening in TM News at the moment, because everyone that argues about flags are idiots. But don't you guys worry about that. Do you guys worry about it? We're not talking about
what flags?
I've drawn the line. I've drawn the line. Right, CC line is
wait,
right
what
here.
is? I have to check now.
No, you're not looking. But anyway,
I only see ranting about things, but I'm not gonna read through that.
I'm ranting all the time about stupid stuff.
Dude, you're always ranting over everything. Oh, dude, I'm not caring about that drama. Do it what you want. I can understand that, but it's not worth to make at everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth to be getting involved in. But if you do have any topics you would wish for us to cover, any specific parts of the topics you would wish for our thoughts on, you can always check out the VODs for our previous episodes. They are always uploaded on the lovely LuckersTurbo's side of things, so you can check him out over there for it. And as always, if you do want to check out our further activity, you can check it out on the social media channels that will be somewhere alongside our names. And you can follow us, you can keep up to date with us, or at least you'll know our names, so you will know how to ignore us. But, I mean, going forward, if you guys are interested, of course, we will be back once again. Same time, same place. It will be Tuesday. It will be next week, and it will be 8 p.m. However, I would leave it up to you. Anything else you want to discuss before we go our merry way?
I mean, in general, great development from Trackmania in the last couple of weeks, months, and it's going strong. I mean, you see Lyric, you can see those people streaming Trackmania. I mean, it's just great to see that Trackmania is using the hype this time and also creating new content. I'm a bit worried that it could maybe be too much, because with the addition of Royal, of course, matchmaking got less exciting. Let's just say like that. Maybe this will split again. But also with the update, with the plastic, with the water, it's great. I like it, and I'm looking forward to see what they are also bringing up, what fixes they're gonna make. So it's just great to see that, and cool that they eventually like bringing up the hype after there was a little bit of a dip again after the release in September, October, November. That Trackmania is eventually going up again. But also in general, it's again fun to talk to both of you guys, and I'm looking forward to next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, nothing else from me at least, although perhaps Trackmania is now becoming part of the Barbie Girl universe, because, you know, life's plastic and it's fantastic.
Ouch.
Wow. Okay, I don't really have any topic, and I don't really think we have to discuss it. But I think maybe to like completely stop to get over all this cheating scandal, I think I want to mention one thing. Everyone, after you've done watching this, what you should definitely do is you should go to YouTube and Google Trackmania TAS. I think if you get if you can get one positive thing out of this complete scandal, that it's definitely the TASIC software and the times and the runs people are doing with that. It's literally insane. Watching that is really great, and yeah, everyone should definitely do that. It's it blows your mind.
Let's talk about that next week, actually, about TAS and also the World Cup, and maybe there will be also some other topics. But yeah, I think that's something for next week, I would say. But you mentioned it. We wanted to talk about that last week, the week before that, today, and we didn't do it.
What you're talking about.
So yeah, we have to do it.
We'll get to it, no worries, guys. But yeah, at least you've got a little bit of a teaser for what's going to be coming up next week. So tune in and you will see all of these beautiful faces once again. But that's been it from us tonight, folks. Once again, this podcast has been brought to you, episode number 33 by ESAC.GG. And as always, a big thanks to the man behind camera with the plan. It is Erwin Weber. And he is the reason that this is all brought to you in the first place. So big thanks to him. And we hope we will see you all next week. And if not, have a lovely week until then. And we will see you all later. Good night or enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye-bye.
See ya.